Now, here's the host of the program, Terry Maxwell.
Well, I want to welcome everyone back. This is a segment that I've been looking forward to. I enjoyed my conversation with Lance Izumi last Friday. Learned a lot. Lance is a real bright guy, knows a lot about education, has been involved in it for 40 years. One of the groups that brought him in, at least the last two times that I know of, is called the Current Citizens for Sustainable Government. And the chairman of the board, executive director, of that organization is also a member of the board of directors for the Kern Community College District. His name is Romeo Agbalog. Now, Agbalog, what does that come from? I've never seen that name before, and I'm just wondering, was it agricultural blogs and they just shortened it to Agbalog?
Well, it's a Filipino last name.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's probably, it's a unique last name because I'm just one of a kind, Terry.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going to use that. And as I tell people, Romeo, I'm going to use it. And for 3 times, I'm going to give you credit for it. But after the 3rd time, it's mine.
That's perfectly fine with me.
Come on. That's a great one. As a follow-up to the conversation I had to Lance Izumi, I know that you have been involved in education, did it spur you being in the position you're in with the Kern Citizens for Sustainable Government, that it drove you to become a part of the Kern County Community Colleges Board, or was it kind of the other way around, or is this just something that you have always thought of doing?
Well, actually, what motivated me to get active and involved in education, Terry, was becoming a parent, first and foremost. I became affiliated with school districts in 2004. I was a young parent with a son in an elementary school district in Delano. Mm-hmm. I ran for the elementary school district then and beat 5 candidates for two seats, and I was the number 1 vote getter, knocking off an incumbent. And I was hooked, because as a parent, you make a commitment when you become a parent to provide your child with the best of everything that you can, whether it's the best schools or the safest neighborhoods and best health care, all the things that it is that you could provide within your means. Education was important to me. It was a great equalizer, and I felt like I had something to contribute at that time, and got involved. And as a parent, you're never satisfied with a good enough education. You always want more. You want better.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And so that's what got me started.
And what successes did you have? Certainly there were hurdles and things that you were challenging back then. What sort of successes have you had? What sort of challenges that you still, that we all still face today that we're just not solving?
Well, after about 10 years on the Delano Union School District Board of Trustees, I took a seat on the Kern Community College District Board of Trustees, and it was a great opportunity because I'd had experience in the K-8 system, and now I'm in higher ed. Mm-hmm. And you get to see really how the systems work together, and this kind of the pipeline, right, from education from the beginning to the end. You kind of see both sides. And what really got me excited about this position on the Kern Community College District Board was that I represent a rural area, Area 4. It encompasses Delano, McFarland, Shafter, Wasco, Lost Hills, Buttonwillow, portions of northwest Bakersfield, large area, rural. And one of the things that has always struck me as being very important about Kern County is that we're the number 1 ag-producing county in the nation.
Right.
We're at the top in terms of oil production.
Right.
We lead in wind and solar energy production. We have a robust defense and aerospace industry in eastern Kern County, and now logistics is on the map. And while we lead in all of those areas, what's always been concerning to me is that we have such a low attainment rate in terms of higher ed here in Kern, mm-hmm. with about 16% countywide of our residents having a bachelor's degree or higher.
What's the average?
Well,
for California or the nation?
Well, we're about half.
Okay.
Less than that. Now, here's the problem with when you take rural communities and separate those areas, we're at 9%. And when you think about Kern County statistically, when you have almost nearly a quarter of your population living in poverty, there's a disconnect. There's certainly a problem there. And looking towards the future, how can you continue to lead the country in all these areas? How can our local industries continue to be competitive in a global market when we can't provide industries with qualified, skilled people to take us to that next level? Now, Brookings put out a report not too long ago that showed their estimate was about 47% of jobs in the Metro Bakersfield area would be susceptible to in automation or artificial intelligence.
Right.
And if you break down these jobs into subsectors, the production subsector, they estimate anywhere between 70% to almost 100% of the jobs would be susceptible to automation.
Give us an example of what
a production
right.
job would be. Well, all the industries that we have, whether it's ag production, oil production, logistics, manufacturing, all of those things.
Okay, so if I am picking things out in the field,
yes,
there's a possibility that when labor becomes too expensive, they will replace me with a machine, because the machine, number one, doesn't require all of the expense, doesn't call in sick, doesn't, and that machine can work 16 hours a day.
Sure, exactly.
There's no restrictions.
Exactly. And you see this already in logistics. So with that being said, who's the population that's going to be most impacted? Well, it's going to be those families here in Kern County. You're going to see the younger group, younger, male, Hispanic, underrepresented minority groups, however category you want to break it down. At the end of the day, that's Kern County. So we really have to work in a very meaningful way, in a very intentional way, in a bold way, to try and move the needle, to help get people where they need to be, not just in terms of being able to sustain themselves and their family, but to help Kern County stay competitive.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that in your explanation that struck me is that, like I'm in Silicon Valley,
yes,
you're going to have an extremely high concentration of people with higher education.
Sure.
When you start talking about agriculture and oil as being our two foundational economies here, there is a relatively large number of jobs that are in the production side of it. Simply by the nature of what we're producing, oil is a commodity, as is all of the agriculture are commodities, and I'm not sure. Are we going to change into a because automation is going to happen for both of those fields? So what do you see for us in the future that turns Kern County into something other than those two industries, where we are in a position where anybody with a degree is going to say, well, I've got to move to Bakersfield because this is what they've got there?
Well, this is why, and I want to get into early college, but a few years back, the wonderful company sponsored a charter school in the Delano community, wonderful college prep academy.
Right.
And in partnership with Bakersfield College a couple of years back, they developed this innovative program, this guided pathway, where you would have students who attended the school take high school courses, also earn college credit while taking those courses, and upon completion of their 4 years of study would earn an associate's degree in ag business. Mm-hmm. And they would have an offer of employment upon graduation. So, for example, if you graduated with this degree in ag business, you could transfer to a 4-year university or institution as a junior, or you can go to work full-time for the wonderful company. Now, the beauty of this ag business pathway was, for a lot of folks, you ask them, well, would you be interested in a career in ag? And what they think is harvesting. Mm-hmm. They're not harvesting. Now you have these ag companies that are big. They have attorneys on staff. They have, plant doctors on staff. Mm-hmm. They have folks who are well versed in different sciences. So there's a lot more to ag than just somebody who harvests.
Well, it was interesting. I was invited to go to a lunch about 3 weeks ago by the local Ag Foundation.
Okay.
And they had all of the FFA kids. Sure. They had one from each one of the schools, along with one of the teachers that was there, or a principal. And when they started describing all of the different aspects of ag, that it's almost like in medicine. How many different kind of doctors do we need? Well, there's 20 different kinds of specialties out there that doctors can be, and I didn't realize in ag there's 20 different specialties that somebody can go into in terms of, like you say, what if you're somebody who wants to work on gene splicing?
Sure, that's exactly right.
because you believe that there are ways that we can produce fields that produce better, healthier, more nutritious food, and I mean that's a huge thing, but it may be that you would rather look at growing stronger flowers and different kinds of plants, or you want to go into the manufacturing or the water aspect, or there's so many different things that I was blown away by it.
That's exactly right, Terry. Well, industries do a really good job, at least those industries that stay competitive in terms of innovation. They innovate all of the time in order to have that competitive edge. And from the education side, we just really need to work hard to deliver education at the speed of business.
You mentioned the Wonderful Company and how they are working with BC. So when did that program first get put together?
Well, it was a few years back, and this partnership with the Wonderful College Prep Academy served as a catalyst. So we have what we call dual enrollment, where we have students now. There's authorizing legislation from the state that allowed high schools to offer courses that would also count towards college credit. These are dual enrollment courses. Well, a few years back with this wonderful partnership, we were able to structure something called a guided pathway, where rather than just take a series of different courses for high school and college credit, we were able to structure these courses in a pathway that would lead you down the path towards a career like ag business with the wonderful group. Well, now we have what's called early college, which has morphed from that guided pathways to now having this early college concept where we have cohorts of students, not just now with McFarland High, which I'll get to in a little bit. The entire high school has embraced this early college concept where all 280 incoming freshmen next year will be enrolled in early college. But to talk about the success of Wonderful, we were able to kind of just crack the code with the Wonderful group. And last year, I had the honor of participating at BC's graduation ceremonies where we had approximately 40 students from Delano walk across the stage and earn and receive their associate's degree.
Okay.
And they did it within a couple of weeks before actually receiving their high school diploma, walking through that ceremony. So it was really neat. So we saw 40 last year. This year, we anticipate another group from Delano, but Wonderful also partnered with Wasco High School, and we anticipate a group from Wasco and Delano walking across the stage.
Okay, so the ones from McFarland, where do they come from?
Okay, so now McFarland, we have this guided pathway with Wonderful and now Wasco, but now this early college concept came in where we've taken the guided pathway and it's on steroids now, where you have a guaranteed outcome upon completing your 4 years. So now the way that it's structured is you have a student enter into high school as a freshman in the 9th grade, and you take 60 units that's required to earn the associate's degree, and you break down those 60 units in bite-sized pieces over the 4 years. So upon graduation after the year four, you not only get a high school diploma, but you earn an associate's degree or certificate.
So you're getting in 4 years, you're getting 6 years worth of education.
That's exactly right. Now, at the minimum, I mean, you're going to have some students who'll struggle, but at the very minimum, they'll walk away with 12 units of college credit. Now, all the studies show that if you introduce college at an early age and students take the classes and they're successful, the percentage of success increases exponentially. Now, the beauty of this program is that you have this captive audience of 4 years. So we use this term hard railing. You're in the system, you're in the pipeline, there's really no way out. You've got 4 years of captive audience to give them the 60 units they need. Now, for the student and the family, the parent, here's the benefit. They get 2 years of higher ed while in high school, tuition free, no book charges, no housing costs, no transportation costs. So if you're a parent like me that socks away a little bit of money every month to help pay for your child's education, whatever amount you have in savings has now just been compounded because 2 years are off the table.
Right.
So upon graduation, this student can transfer to a 4-year college or university as a junior. So if you're
But the restriction would be they're going to be coming in as a junior for specifically ag-related.
Well, here's the neat thing about early college. So now, depending on the school that we've partnered with, I mean, we offer a variety of different pathways. So you have ag business as one, you have education and others. At McFarland, I believe we're about 7 or 9 pathways.
Okay.
So you have different pathways you can jump into that can help you upon your 2 years of college credit. You can jump into a different program in a 4-year university or institution. Now, here's the savings to the taxpayer. So when we look at our data, everything that we do at Bakersfield College is really data-driven, very intentional. And you look at numbers and statistics and you say, boy, a traditional student going to Bakersfield College that enters the traditional way, graduates high school and just signs up, upon completion with their associate's degree, you look at their transcript, they have anywhere between 90 to 95 credits when you only need 60 to graduate. Mm-hmm. So we've come up with this really highly technical term called swirling. They're just taking classes for the sake of taking classes. Well, when the state of California sends an allocation to the college to pay for those classes, well, it's really money that's not being well spent.
Right.
So when we hard rail these students and give them the 60 units that they need over 4 years, well, you eliminate that 30 to 35 extra units. Mm-hmm. And the allocation that would come to the school for that.
How many students start with this program and then decide, well, it's not really for me. I don't have the desire to have college credits because that's not what I want to do with my life. I mean, you're having some pretty good success, aren't you?
We're having tremendous success. And now when we talk about this hard railing concept, let's look at McFarland High. McFarland High, a few years back, revamped their graduation requirements and just changed them all to mirror A through G requirements. So the students go to high school, some of them don't really even know what it is they're taking. They just take the classes for the sake of taking classes. They need to graduate, but they're also getting the benefit. Now, with early college, they were able to do a lot of heavy lifting to structure a schedule that would give them an additional period and a longer day in classes in the evening and even online course offerings. And they're able to break down these 60 units over 4 years. And for the student, it's just taking a class. They're in high school, but they're also earning the college credit, but the rigor doesn't go away. And one of the things that I would tell you about McFarland, why I'm so impressed with them, is that they did a lot of the heavy lifting on their own. Community colleges are community colleges. We're higher ed, we're accredited. Our classes will never be watered down. But the high school recognized that they had flexibility. They had the freedom to change. And so what they did is they challenged themselves to up their game, and they did, and they hit the mark.
Romeo, we got to take a break. We're going to be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We are talking with Romeo Agbalog, and we have been talking a little bit about, not a little bit, we've been talking a lot about some of the innovations that are going on in education. We were, during the break, talking a little bit about what City of Bakersfield is doing in terms of vocational training and trying to get kids into that sort of a pathway to success. And Romeo, one of the things that I think about is if you're having this kind of success, and you've got kids that are motivated, you've got it's almost like you have got a beautiful thing going on here, and you don't want too many people to know about it because then everybody else is going to want the same thing for them. And a program like this, BC is only got a certain number of people that they can go ahead and take on in a program like this, have them graduate without ever any payment towards them,
yes.
Put them on a path to success. But BC's got to be on a pathway to success also. I mean, are those sort of things that you, in your conversations, being on the Board of Trustees, as well as looking at what's happening in these rural areas and trying to make a difference in all these people's lives?
Well, to talk about the success, let me just share a statistic with you, Terry. So in 2012-13, we were only able to offer 4 sections in dual enrollment courses. And same time frame, 2012-13, we had 74 students who were taking dual enrollment courses. Mm-hmm. Let's fast forward to 17-18. We're at 7,102 students, and we're at 384 pathways. So we've experienced tremendous growth, tremendous success, and we really were able to fine-tune this program with wonderful and then scale it up to now where we have a comprehensive public high school in McFarland who's completely embraced early college, and now you have an entire early college campus in McFarland beginning next year. And we did this launch in February, and just a couple weeks ago, we were invited back to Washington, D.C., where we met with representatives from the Department of Ed, including Frank Bergen, who's the number 2
Right.
in the department,
Under Wu.
talking about early college. And we also did some presentations before 2 national educational organizations who wanted to know a little bit about early college. Now, the term early college is not a new one. It means different things to different people, but nobody had ever seen early college laid out the way we've done it.
Well, especially to have that many different pathways grow. I mean, how can you go from that, as few as you had 7 to, what did you say, 300?
We have 384 now. But this is a partnership. I mean,
Okay.
Bakersfield College does a little bit of the work, but we also find willing partners who are capable, who are able to help us move this ball along the field. And what we went to D.C. for wasn't so much to ask for anything other than they just really wanted to know our story in hopes that this can be scaled up to be a national.
It's called duplication.
Yeah, a model.
Duplicate success, because we know that usually when the government shows up, the success is not the first thing on their minds.
This is a program that is re-engineering education. We hope that early college will be a model policy nationwide, where other areas in the country that are rural, just like Kern, can take advantage of the early college concept and apply it to their states to best meet their needs.
Okay, but this is great for your rural.
Yes.
But what about inner city? I mean, because we've got major problems in inner city schools also. I mean, is this something that could be maybe twisted and turned a little bit and applied to some of the inner cities? I mean, Los Angeles Unified School District, and certainly the high school district down there, is struggling tremendously because they are graduating 47% of their students with D- averages.
LA Unified's got some tremendous problems. They have not just academic challenges, but they have fiscal challenges as well. But the beauty of early college and its concept is that there is some flexibility there. I mean, certainly, if you go to the Wonderful Academy, or you look at McFarland, or a small cohort in partnership with Arvin High School that we have there with Bakersfield College now, some of the pathways are different just based on the needs of the students there. So certainly a model policy that can be replicated elsewhere, but could also be fine-tuned and tweaked to best fit the needs of a diverse student population.
You talked about innovation, and how many people does it take to develop this kind of innovation? We talked a little bit about leadership when we were kind of just talking off the top of our head, and we're kind of talking about what was going on with current Citizens for Sustainable Government. And the necessity for good leadership,
Yes.
and visionaries, and having that idea that people embrace and can move forward towards. Because I always remember in the movie where they get the best 5 tunnel diggers from Japan, and after a week, they haven't gotten very far.
Right.
And so the guy says, well, what's the problem? He goes, well, they all want to go in different directions.
Got it. Yeah, no, that's true. Well, we're blessed here locally to have tremendous leadership at Kern Community College District, the support of the Board of Trustees, but under the leadership of Dr. Sonia Christian, who's just done a phenomenal job in the short period of time she's been president at Bakersfield College. She's an innovative thinker. She works really, really hard. And one of the things I'd like to tout about Bakersfield College, for folks who may not know, is that it's one of 15 community colleges in the state that was afforded the ability to offer a 4-year baccalaureate degree program. That was a heavy lift, and Dr. Christian was able to help that come to fruition at Bakersfield College. So now you have students who are early college students who are taking dual enrollment courses in a guided pathway, who can also finish high school with that AA degree, and also transfer over to BC and complete the remainder of those courses for the BA in industrial automation, which, by the way, I think speaks to the innovation of Bakersfield College. When you think about a bachelor's degree, they offered a degree in industrial automation, which is an engineering-based degree that can be applied in any one of our industries here locally, whether it's logistics, whether it's energy and oil production, or ag. because you think about there is automation in all of those.
It almost sounds like BC has taken over what the high schools gave up from when I was going there, and that is the vocational stuff. That the in between stuff that you don't need a 4-year degree, but you need something more than just high school, because people graduating from high school today just don't have the tools. You can't graduate from high school and survive the way you could when I was growing up. And I don't know about that for you. You graduated back in what, late 90s?
Late 1990s, yes, that's correct. But BC plays a critical role, and community colleges throughout the state play a very crucial role in creating a pipeline from school to work. And we have a very diverse student population. So, for example, we have some students who graduate high school, come over to Bakersfield College, and they may need a little bit of help in terms of developing those skills that they need to be successful over 4 years of college. And then you may have some of those students who are highly capable students who are just sort of on a holding pattern, who want to save a little bit of money, get some courses under their belt, and then transfer to a 4-year institution and have a lighter load in terms of debt. And then you have some who are just kind of looking to get to work. They're struggling. Maybe college wasn't something they were interested in, but they need a skill so that they can enter into the workforce. So we see all sorts. So going back to, we have a diverse student population, very diverse needs, and Bakersfield College is doing a great job trying to meet those needs. And now, in partnership with these institutions and other areas of the county, we're going to do a better job.
Yep, we are walking through the world of life. And life is kicking our... No, not at all. Hey, welcome back. We are talking with Romeo Agbalog. He is first of all, a member of the board of directors, Kern Community College District. So I have to watch what I say. He might correct my paper. And then he's also executive director for Kern Citizens for Sustainable Government. Both very, very intense and responsible organizations, and we're honored to have Romeo on the program today. We've been talking about some of the innovations that are going on in the high school districts in coordination with BC. I wanted to get back to the subject of the charter school that Wonderful has, because one of the questions I asked Lance Izumi was, are charter schools part of our future here? Are they being pretty much blocked and talked down by the regular education people that view it as a turf war? What happens there? And then maybe we can kind of develop that into how the Wonderful group in their charter school is kind of funneling and working with McFarland.
Sure. Well, Terry, just let me preface my comments by saying that I am an advocate for education. And when I say I'm an advocate for education, that means all modalities. Mm-hmm. So that means public schools, public charter schools, private schools, home schools. I mean, for me, education is education. And you can't really be an education advocate and want one group of students who happens to get educated through a different system to fail.
Right.
The only exception is when you play football, right? You want one group to win over the other. But with that being said, I support all modalities, because you think about Kern County being as diverse as it is in terms of population, but industries, we really need the freedom and flexibility to have various options available to figure out how we're going to plug our students in to get them to the career that they need to. So let's talk a little bit about the Wonderful Academy. If you've ever had an opportunity to go out to Delano and see the Wonderful Academy, it's a phenomenal campus, state-of-the-art, wonderful campus. Now, we were able, by we say BC, we're really able to test this guided pathways dual enrollment sort of platform at Wonderful because of some of the freedoms that they have being structured as a charter school. So we're able to kind of fine-tune this program that could be elevated or scaled up to a traditional public school setting, which is where we got to where McFarland is at. So McFarland did some tremendous work on their end to structure their schedule and do the things that it is that they're doing. And I'm really excited to see on your wall, you've got the McFarland USA movie poster there. I mean, this is
I was at the premiere here in Bakersfield.
This is a
I was a city councilman back then.
I'm so happy to see the poster, and I can't stop talking about them and how great they are. But, McFarland is a community that thirsts for education, and this is a program that's going to give that community a shot in the arm, but they have the opportunity here to lead the state, our county, perhaps even the nation in terms of a model of how things can get done, scaled up to an entire campus that's early college. So the superintendent from McFarland, Aaron Resendez, actually traveled with us to Washington, D.C.
I was going to ask you how many people went to Washington, D.C.?
Well, it was myself and Sonia Christian, Dr. Fuller, and Aaron Resendez. And so we were the delegation from Kern who went to talk about the McFarland miracle to folks in Washington, D.C.
Did you show them the movie first?
Well, no.
You probably should have.
We probably should have. Yes, that's absolutely right. But we did a presentation here recently before the Board of Supervisors.
You should have gotten Kevin Costner to go with you.
Well, neither Aaron nor I look like Kevin Costner, so we couldn't even fake it. But no, they were really excited about it. But, I think McFarland now is going to be able to serve as a model for other public institutions throughout the valley, if not the state, and maybe even nationally. But I'll tell you one thing, and I don't think Aaron would mind me saying, after our visit at Washington, D.C., he got a phone call from a superintendent in South Carolina who'd been wanting to do something like this for years and just couldn't figure out how to do it. So McFarland is a leader now nationally, and you think about it, what better institution to lead than the 10-time cross-country state champions?
Yeah. Romeo, we're at the end of our time. It also reminds me that the oak tree starts from a little old acorn.
That's correct.
And, you may be growing the oak tree that helps to save the educational system of this nation. And it takes something like McFarland, not just a movie, but an educational system that maybe shows some success and helps everybody out. So thank you so much for being here today.
From your lips to the Lord's ears. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate it.
Hey, everybody, we got to take a break. We'll be right back.